Hey guys, this is Ray with Rosé Forêt. Today we're going to do a hime Gyaru hair and makeup tutorial that also works with Lolita fashion. You're going to start out with a face that's primed for makeup already. This is just a lip oil I'm applying to keep my lips moisturized while I do the rest of my makeup. The primer I've used is the Detox and Chill by Pretty Vulgar. And then I also use a MAC Prep and Prime setting spray to start out with. That lip oil is the truly big juicy lip oil that I had used before. For foundation, I use the MAC Studio Fix Fluid in NC15. I have really sensitive skin, so this is one of the ones that doesn't irritate it. I've tried a million other ones. I've even tried other MAC foundations and I ended up having a reaction to them, so this is the one I usually go with. I recommend starting out with smaller amounts of foundation and blending it out, just so you don't have a cakey face to start out with. You can always add more layers if you need more coverage, but with all the other makeup that you're going to be putting on, you most likely won't even need it. I usually will start the base with a foundation brush and then move on to the blender. Because I have larger pores on my cheeks, I do go over them with a wet beauty blender once it's blended out, just to kind of push the foundation into the pores and make it appear smoother. Once you finally have your foundation blended out, then you can go ahead and move on to concealer. For concealer, I have the 24-hour MAC Studio Fix Smooth Wear Concealer. My face also doesn't have a reaction to this one, so it seems to work out okay. While we do apply the concealer to problematic areas, we're also going to use it to start off our contouring. So you're going to apply it the usual places under the eye, chin, nose, and then, of course, work on blending that out too. The next part is totally optional. I wouldn't necessarily suggest it if you have very dry skin, but I will go over the whole face with the MAC Studio Fix Powder Foundation. That's just to keep my foundation in place and kind of set the map for the contouring. You can also apply it to just your T-zone if you tend to get more oily around that area. Here's just a quick glimpse of those items. Sorry in advance if I forget to show you before I use them. My contour palette is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Cream Contour in light because I am a pasty person. This is the shadow shade that I'm using for the darker contour. You're going to place the contour underneath your cheekbones in the hollow of your cheeks. You're also going to apply it around your chin, your nose, and your forehead. Don't forget to also blend it down into your neck, just so you don't have that heavy orange line on your face. Contouring for Gyaru is very similar to contouring for a lot of other makeup styles, just some of it is a little more exaggerated. Once you're finished with your dark contour, you're going to grab a different brush just so your colors don't get mixed together. And then I use the luster and fair colors of the contour palette. Don't be afraid to mix your contour colors to find something that will suit you a little better. Unfortunately, contour kits don't always have the best color for your skin tone. With the light contour, you're going to apply it to the areas where light normally hits your face, your upper cheekbones, chin, under your eyes to help get rid of dark circles. And then don't forget the infamous Gyaru nose stripe too. Don't be afraid to blend this one. We're going to go over it a couple of times to make sure it ends up standing out. Now that your face is looking nice and weird, you are going to take your wet beauty blender and blend like your life depends on it. This is one of the more time-consuming parts, but you want to make sure it gets nice and blended for a smooth finish. Get it? Blender. smoothie. While we're doing this, I did want to mention circle lenses used to be a lot more of a requirement for Gyaru, but they honestly really aren't. Personally, I have a hard time finding circle lenses that don't hurt my eyes. I do find that the daily wear ones tend to be a little more comfortable, and I'll still wear them occasionally, but there's a lot more import restrictions on them, and honestly, if you can't wear them, it's totally fine. The Gyaru makeup still works whether you have circle lenses or not. Now, I do like to go over my contour with a powder one. This is a warmer brown, so it suits my skin tone a little better, and it also helps to set the cream contour in place, but it's totally optional. It can add an extra layer and end up feeling kind of heavy. The one I'm using is the Too Faced Chocolate Soleil. For a powder highlighter, I like to use the KVD Vegan Beauty. It's from the contour palette, but I just buy the highlighter. This is the Lucid color. It doesn't have any glitter, so it's a nice matte finish. I wouldn't suggest shimmery highlighters for all over in this case, just so your photos don't come out looking really shiny. For blush, which is next, I use the Holika Jelly Dough Blusher. This is the Rose Jelly color. It is a cream blush, so it comes with a little sponge to apply. I usually will do a little higher up on the cheekbone and then blend it out with just a regular brush. To add a little sparkle, we use the Kaja Mochi Glow in the Luna color. Because this one can get very shiny, I usually just apply it to the upper cheekbones, maybe a little on the nose. And then this is the NYX Eyeshadow Base Primer in white. This is going to give a nice surface for your eyeshadow to stick to, which we'll be working on next. Okay, just kidding. While we're waiting for the primer to set a little bit, we have the Pretty Vulgar Eyebrow Pencil. This is the Duchess color. Go ahead and start out by making the outline of your eyebrow. For Gyaru, you don't want to put as much emphasis on the arch. You even have the option of skipping the arch altogether. Once you're happy with your outline, you can go ahead and start filling in the brows. You can use small strokes on the inner corner of your brow to mimic the natural hair's texture. Lightening your eyebrows isn't a requirement in Gyaru, but it is pretty popular for people who have lightened hair as well. If you don't have blonde, usually I'd suggest a shade or two lighter than your natural hair color, or whatever hair color you have. There are plenty of tutorials on how long your eyebrows should be and where they should sit on your face. I honestly just kind of wing it most of the time though, so just do whatever you think looks good. Once you have the color in, we're going to go ahead and take the spoolie side and just fluff up your brows, make them look a little more natural. And then go back and fill in any tiny gaps or details you might have missed. Remember not to be too hard on yourself if they don't end up perfect. Once your brows are looking good, we're going to go ahead and set them in place. I use the Anastasia Beverly Hills Clear Brow Gel just to make sure they don't end up getting smudged or, wiped off your face. Once those brows are set in stone, I take the Brow Contour Pen by Benefit and I will use the definer shade to line below and above the eyebrow. This is your chance to go ahead and get rid of any imperfections or mistakes that you might have made. Don't forget to touch up the inner corners of your brows as well. Then I will take the highlighter and line just underneath the brow to give it a little more definition. The highlighter has a little bit of a shimmery finish, so you don't want to use it completely around your brows, otherwise it's going to look like they have little halos or something. Once you have the highlighter applied, go ahead and take a clean eyeshadow brush and blend it into your base. Be careful not to smudge your eyebrows, so the gel should help keep it in place. All right, now it's time for some eyeshadow. I am using the Naked 3 palette from Urban Decay. The first color is going to be the Strange, and we're going to apply that to our entire brow area. For hime Gyaru, I tend to use a lot of neutrals and pinks, and then add a bunch of glitter on top to make it more exciting. For our base color, we have the Dust. We're just gonna apply this to the eyelids. Dust. It's dust. This doesn't have to be real heavy or anything. We're gonna add some more color on top of it. Then we're gonna switch over to the Too Faced Pretty Rich palette. This is going to be the princess cut color that we're applying next. This is going to go directly on your lids over the base color that we had used before. You can build up the color on this one. It does have a little bit of a shimmer to it that will look nice once we add the glitter on top. Once you have that applied, we'll pick out a transitional color. This will be a middle color between the one that you have on your lid and the one you'll be using later within the crease. The one I picked is called Highly Selective. It's a few shades darker than the Princess Cut, but still has that nice shimmer to it. I'll start at about the halfway point on the lid, and then I will add color outwards and extend it a little bit past the eye just because we are going to have that Gyaru eyeliner. You don't want your color to not extend as far as your eyeliner is going to go. I'll pack in a bit more color for this one just because it is going to be blended to make that transition between your base color and the crease color. Last, we're going to pick out our darkest color. The one I am using is Oh That's Rich. It does not have a shimmer like the other two, but we are going to put glitter on top of it, so it's not a huge deal. With this, we're going to build it up right into the crease. Remember to apply it past the natural corner of your eye just so we can make that extended Gyaru eye shape. With this, I'll make it into a sharp point like an extended cat eye, but you can also make it a little more rounded if you want a softer look. Once you have a nice buildup of color, you're then going to take a clean eyeshadow brush and blend the whole thing together. It should create a nice gradient from lightest to darkest. If you need to fix anything or make touch-ups, you can go ahead and do that as you're blending. I'll also add a little bit of the darker color under the outer corner of the eye and touch up a little bit of that lightest color that we used up on the brow. Once you have your lids even and your colors blended, then we finally get to add the best part, the glitter. The glitter in this palette is actually a pressed gel. It's called Diamond Glitterati. That's the shade we're using. They actually recommend you use your finger to apply it because a brush can make the glitter kind of clump together and end up looking weird. So you'll just use your ring finger to pat the glitter onto your eyelids. You can add a little more definition here before you move on to the under eye. I notice a lot of Gyarus like to use a darker eyeliner to create the droopy eye shape, but in my experience, this tends to make my eyes look smaller. With hime, I like to have that big, exaggerated doe eye look. I'm using the Halaika Jewel Light Under Eye Maker in the Tears Pink color. Since we're also going to use this as a guide for our lower lashes, you're going to apply it mostly to the outer corners, extending past your eye a little bit, and then tapering off towards the center to create a sort of droopy look. I'll also use the smaller end to highlight the inner corners of the eye, and then blend it a little with an eyeshadow brush to get rid of harsh edges. Last, I'll take the Halaika Magic Inside. This is the Honey Sparkle color, and I'll add a little bit to the middle of my eyelid. This helps to create a highlight that defines the gradient that you made earlier and create a larger open-eyed look. We'll set the whole thing with our MAC setting spray. I'll actually use a few layers throughout the makeup process to make sure everything stays in place. To make the eye shape, we're going to use a liquid eyeliner. This is the Black Magic one by Eyeshadow. We're first going to line the upper eyelid from corner to corner. I find that doing it in sections makes it a little easier, and I have a hand tremor, so it also helps me to make the lines a little smoother that way too. Do each section on both eyes before moving on to the next section, and it'll help you get the eyeliner more even. Once you have your lid lined, you're going to extend the eyeliner out past your eye. This is going to determine how big of a droop in your eye shape you have. I usually extend it to about the crease of my lower eyelid, but a lot of people like to go even bigger than that. You're going to repeat on the other side, and the main goal is to make it as even as possible with the other eye. Once you have both eyes even, then you can fill them out to create that thicker wing. You can also make any adjustments that you need to do. Don't be afraid to take your time on this to make them as similar as possible. Sometimes I feel like this is one of the more difficult parts. Once I have the eyeliner in place, I like to go over it with a black eyeshadow. It keeps it from smudging, and it also helps to get that area of your lash line where your mascara and eyeliner don't quite want to reach. I use the collaboration palette between Anastasia Beverly Hills and Alyssa Edwards. The Beast color has a nice matte black that is very pigmented. This part is pretty easy. You just follow along the line that you have already created with your eyeliner. Just be careful with fallout because of that pigmentation. Once I have this base for my eye shape, then I will go in and add the nose stripe. That way the color from your eyeshadow doesn't get stuck to the white on your nose. I used the NYX Jumbo Eye Pencil in Milk. I feel it's a little more pigmented than some of the contour palettes have, but it's still matte, so it won't make your nose look oily. Go ahead and apply it right down the middle of your nose from your eyebrows down to the tip. You want it to be visible, but I still like to blend the edges a little bit to make it a little more polished. I'll also use the brush from my darker powder contour. I won't add any additional powder, but I will use it to blend the edges together and make it smoother. Once you have your stripes on, I will do lip color next. I like to use a lip tint, so I will actually wipe off the lip oil that I had applied earlier. This will help create a dry surface for the tint to stick to. I'll also line the edges with a clear lip liner just to keep anything from feathering. Lip stains tend to be a little on the darker side for Gyaru makeup, but I prefer them because it keeps everything from getting smudged or faded. The one I'm using today is the Halika Halika Holly Pop water tint in the color Tomato. The tints from Halika Halika are actually my favorite. I noticed that the color seems to last a little longer with them than some of the other Korean brands I've tried. They also come in different textures like water, cream, and gel. You can also add additional layers to build up the color and make it darker. For my lashes, I like to do the lower ones first before I apply mascara. That's just so I don't smudge my mascara with my hand. These are the Diamond Lash Model Eye Lower Lashes. Instead of coming on one strip, they are in groups of 3 lashes. They give you more control over your eye shape, but they can be harder to place, especially if you don't have dark bottom liner. I place them along that under eye liner that we had created earlier, starting by the edge of your wing and then curving into the center of your eye. It's going to create that signature droopy shape. This honestly takes the most time for me, just trying to get them even. I use the Duo Brush On Lash adhesive in clear. This one is latex free, and when I have to reposition bottom lashes, it makes it so it's not noticeable. And trust me, I have to reposition them a lot. This is the little tube it comes in, and I never have problems with it wearing off, thankfully. Because there's so many different styles of Gyaru, it can sometimes be hard to find a makeup look that suits both your face and your style. But don't be afraid to play around with it. And if you know someone who wears the fashion, feel free to reach out for help. Gyaru has also evolved so much over the years that the way Westerners wear it doesn't always look the same as it does in Japan these days. Make adjustments to what you think looks better on you and what makes you more comfortable. Just be aware that if you remove too many elements, some people might not see it as Gyaru anymore. And sorry about my mirror covering my face for part of this. I was really concentrated on trying to get those on there. Once you have the bottom lashes in a position that you like, you can go through with the liner that you used for your bottom lid and help blend in the lashes with the line that you had made before. If you're using a smaller mirror like I have, I would suggest checking in a larger one every so often to make sure that your lashes and everything are even. Sometimes it can look even in the small mirror, and then later on you realize it's not. It can take a lot of time and patience, but just keep practicing and you'll get it. At this point, it's mostly just fixing up the little details, but we're almost done. And remember that Gyaru is a fashion for everyone, regardless of who you are and how you identify. Once you finally get your lashes to a position that you're satisfied with, we can grab those eyelash curlers and finally get started on those upper lashes. Don't forget to start at the base and work your way up to the ends. Once they're all curled, I'll go through with a coat of Lancome Sil Booster XL to get them primed. This helps to lengthen them and keeps your mascara from flaking off throughout the day. Once I have the primer on, I'll apply my mascara before it dries completely, otherwise it can end up clumpy. As far as mascara goes, my favorite one to use is the Black Magic Mascara by Eyeshadow. You can actually get it in a bundle with the eyeliner. It's infused with keratin and shea butter and is supposed to help lengthen and thicken your lashes after you take it off. It also doesn't irritate my eyes like a lot of other mascara does. We'll do a couple coats of that, again, before the mascara dries completely, just so it doesn't get clumpy. I'll also apply some to the inner half of my lower lashes, and that's to blend those in with the false lashes that I put on earlier. Make sure you also get as close to the lash line as possible so you don't get any weird noticeable gaps. I have a ton of different top lashes, so I don't remember specifically where I got these ones, but I like to choose thick ones that are kind of spiky on the edges to match the spikiness of the lower lashes. If you really want to be dramatic, you can even use more than one pair. When applying these, I try to line up the outer edges first so they match the extended eyeliner. Whoops. If you line it up with the actual edge of your eye, then it won't align properly with the bottom lashes and you'll get a weird gap there. I like to use tweezers for both my bottom and top lashes just for a little more control. And once you have them in place, feel free to fluff them up a little bit or adjust them. Make sure they're even and line up with the bottom lashes on both sides. I'm not using a second pair of lashes here, but if you do, these ones you can move closer to the inner corner of the eyes. It'll make it look like you have a longer lash band and that it fills out the length of the eye shape. Having more than one pair of lashes can get pretty heavy, so if you don't want to use the second pair, apply a little mascara to the inner corner of your eyes to help blend the falsies with your own natural lashes. Try not to use too much because your mascara is most likely dry at this point and it can get clumpy. Pinching the lash band closer to your lash line with the tweezers can also help too. Just try not to pinch your eyelid when you do it. At this point, I'm just triple checking my lash alignment. But once your mascara is dry, you can give it another spray of the setting spray and your makeup is done. Before doing your hair, I do suggest putting on the outfit or at least the top that you plan to wear so it doesn't end up getting messed up. This dress is from the Dream V line of Yumatenbo. I like to make my life as easy as possible and mostly just use hair pieces when I wear Gyaru. This particular one is a half wig from Priscilla. It sits at the crown of your head and has combs to help keep it in place. I did curl my hair ahead of time. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you want to section off the front and back of your hair from your crown and then you're going to tease it a little bit. Place the half wig on your head, pushing the combs into the teased portion of your hair and lining up the top of the wig with that section that you had separated. When you flip your head up, the wig should stay on your head by using the teased portion of your hair as a grip. At that point, most of the work is done. You just have to do some adjusting to blend in your hair with the half wig. I won't pin the wig in place until I've adjusted it a little more just to make sure it's in a comfortable position and to make sure it's on evenly. The most difficult part to blend is usually the top, so I'll pull some of my hair out from where it meets the wig and then tease it in order to conceal that hairline. You might have to do it a few times to get a thick enough amount for it to do that. After that, it's mostly just rearranging to make your hair blend in with the fake hair. You'll have to move pieces around some so you don't have just fake hair in the back and just real hair in the front. Once the half wig is in a good spot, you can go ahead and start pinning it in place so it doesn't move. I only have one hairpiece on, but I've definitely stacked multiple ones in order to create a bigger bump. You'll repeat the same process you used, stacking one hairpiece on at a time. You can also mix and match different kinds of hairpieces to create different styles. There's things like clip-in ponytails and clip-in bangs that you can add to really get creative. Once the wig is situated, I'll sometimes style it into low pigtails or a partial updo, things like that. Today we're going to keep it down and curly, which is pretty much a classic style and can go with most outfits. Unfortunately, my teasing brush broke here and wanted to become part of my hairstyle, but I think we're going to pick some different accessories. Again, don't be afraid to experiment and see what works for you. This outfit is kind of toned down for hime, but I would still consider it hime gyaru rather than hime kaji just because of the effort put into the hair and makeup. Hime kaji usually still has more toned down styling. Sometimes you can't always cover the hairline no matter how much styling you do. In this case, accessories are a girl's best friend. For hime, things like flowers, crowns, rhinestones, pearls are all pretty common, but I've seen some pretty crazy ideas for other styles as well. Sticking things like Barbies and stuffed animals on your head certainly is not a new concept in this fashion. Today we're going to go with some pretty simple flower clips that match the flowers on the print of the dress. So they're pretty inexpensive, but they are really good filler pieces. You can always throw a couple flowers on when you need some more accessories. You can even find ones with glitter and pearls and stuff on them. Once everything's in place, don't forget the hairspray. You don't want your hair falling flat in the middle of the day. You can always wash the hair pieces, so don't worry about getting hairspray in them. I definitely forgot to grab other jewelry to put on with this, but I usually like to choose stuff that has a lot of pearls and rhinestones and bling. I hope this whole thing was helpful for you guys. I've never actually done tutorials before, but this is definitely a fun experience. If you want to see some more in the future, Don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You'll get to see some other cool videos about J fashion with me and my friends. Thank you so much for tuning in.